Feet parallel, knees bent. Gonna tuck my sacrum. Then now that I've done that, I'm just going to sort of bounce in place. Shaking is a great way to sort of reset and get you balanced. So do some gentle shaking and maybe do some sort of controlled breathing. If you could just simply take 5 breaths a minute, inhale for a count of 6, exhale for a count of 6, that's great. If you want to accentuate that, when you exhale, use your mouth and go, you stimulate your neck, which stimulates your vagus nerve. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to upregulate our parasympathetic nervous system because most likely you're a bit frazzled right now. So to get you from frazzled to defrazzled, do a little shaking, a little breathing, expanding the belly. And when you're done, you'll probably feel tingly all over. You've stimulated your body. You're doing a whole bunch of good things for your health and well-being. All right, so I'm tingly all over, just like I expected. I'm going to continue the neck theme tonight in terms of the Qigong, and then the stretching is going to be primarily all hip and hamstrings. So I'm going to start with shoulder rolls. If you've got tight shoulders, let's start by just sort of lifting the shoulders up to the ear and then pushing them as far back as you can manage and rolling them down slowly, and then coming around the bottom to the front and back up again. So slow is the way to go. If you have tension, if you have tightness, if you have a pain, if you can go through it slowly, you'll probably be able to relax it a little bit. Slow really is healing. Now, that being said, as I'm rolling my shoulders, there's a pop, but I haven't got as many crunchies tonight as I did last night. So that's good. And then finally alternate. So as one goes up and forward, and then up and forward. So you're sort of like, almost like you're exaggerated walking and backwards. All right. Let's push your shoulders back and forward just a bit. I'm working up to something here. And for that something, I'm going to need this. Need a prop. We'll come back to that. All right, so let's go ahead and roll the neck a little bit. Now, the way to do this is I'm going to actually start by looking up and then following my head up and then looking down and following my head down. All right. So while you're doing that, before we do that, go back to your feet, check your knees. Are they bent a little bit? Tuck your tailbone, relax your lower back. Just sort of keep your first bow in Tai Chi slightly engaged. Not deeply engaged, but slightly engaged. All right. And now from here, look up and then follow it. Look down and follow it. Look up and then look down. Now you're coordinating your eye and your head. So you're retraining your brain a little bit, and you're also coordinating eye and body. So you're actually using your brain a little bit more by doing that. Now, same thing side to side. I'm going to look to my right, and then I'm going to turn my head as I continue to look to the right, look to the left, side to side. Do this a couple times. Slow, go slow. There's no rush. And if you go slow, at the end, you can push a little bit and feel where you're tight. And I can feel where I'm tight right now between my shoulder blades. Okay, next, we're going to do the modified sweeping leg. So I'm going to step back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And also, I'm going to go at a slight angle. Those are my props for later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step behind with my left foot behind my right. Doesn't have to be very far. I'm going to push in the same direction as my left foot. And I'm going to look in the same direction I'm pushing. So I'm twisting my head and I'm pushing my hands. I'm twisting my shoulders, but my bottom is going the other direction. So I've got a nice spinal twist there. Now, I'm going to bring my hands into the middle. So as I step, they come up once, they do a full circle, step behind, and then they finally finish pushing in the other direction. So now my left heel is pushing back, and my hands are pushing and I'm looking to the left. And then twist, double time, press and step. If you can't get your heel down, that's fine. And if you can, that's fine as well. It doesn't really matter. You can also take a deeper step and a longer twist and a hold, or you can do it a little more energetically if you want. I'm doing it to stretch tight sections in my shoulders. I think one more. I think I'm symmetrical now. All right, now, last one. All that was to warm up my shoulders. I want to. It's I don't remember. It's from the Phoenix Qigong set, and it has to do with the idea is you're passing a teacup. And while I'm going to slightly hold on to this book, having a little bit of weight on your hand really helps with this one a little bit. So I'm going to start with I'm just going to do one side first, and then I'll do the other side, and then I'm going to alternate off. So I take, say, my right hand. It's around mid waist, or sorry, mid rib cage. Then I'm going to push it out. I'm now going to go around the outside, and then I'm going to attempt to keep my hand flat, bend my head back. So far, so good. And I'm pressing my right hand all the way to the left, twisting everything to keep the book flat. And I'm going to continue on around to the back. And then and I'm really moving my body a lot to do this because I'm tight. So I'm going to do that again. And one more time. And then reverse. And frankly, doing one side at a time is perfectly acceptable because switching between sides is a bit complicated. All right, that was the right side. Now, left side, I'll describe that again. Left hand, about mid through my torso. I'm going to push it all the way out. I'm going to now go to the left, keep going to the left, keep going to the left, keep going around, and then bend back, keep my hand flat, arm over the head, push the left hand all the way to the right, twisting that shoulder, and then all the way around, all the way to the back, and then bring the arm under, and there we go. That's 1, 2, 3. All right, now I'm going to do that with switching off a couple times if I can. Okay, so, actually, I didn't do the left side reverse. Let me do that. I'll leave that book. Okay, now. No, that's going to be, I'll go back to the book. Now, see if I can switch off. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit wider on my feet, knees bent. Got my tailbone. I've got my sacrum pushing down, which hopefully brings the front of my pelvis up to go for neutral or flat pelvis. So I know the pass off isn't too graceful, but I'll tell you what, my shoulders are sure getting a heck of a workout. The entire rotator cuff is going through full range of motion. I'm getting my shoulder blades, a little bit on the neck at the back. It is not getting between my shoulders, but that's fine. Okay. So that's what I wanted to work up to. Next, the pressing side to side. So now I'm going to do a little bit of strengthening. So I'm going to press in 4 directions and then also up. So right hand, right side of face, and then I'm going to press and I'm going to do a count. 30 seconds. and then relax. All right, other side, left, pushing on left side. And here we go. All right. Now, for the front and the back, I'm going to use both hands so I have a symmetrical or balanced pull. I don't want to pull with just one side because you're going to strengthen one arm and also the opposite shoulder side. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep it balanced. Okay, here we go. I think that got, I might have messed up that count, but that's fine. Ooh, wow. That actually kind of loosens up the back of the neck. So when you compress a muscle like that and then you relax it, it can actually help reduce sort of, I think it can help reduce the, was it the resting tension? I don't know about that. But it seems like that's what is going on. Okay, to the front. And here we go. My neck actually feels pretty loose down. Though it also feels like the muscles, well, the muscles have been activated. Okay, so now the last thing I'm going to do is you can actually extend and compress your thoracic region. So I'm going to push my head. I'm going to go to the back of the head. So in Tai Chi, when we work on the second bow is you go from the perineum right between, right, basically between the middle, and then up the spinal column to the fontanelle. The fontanelle is at the back of the head, where if you pull the top of the ears and connect, the soft spot on the baby's head. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my hands over the fontanelle, and then I'm going to push up and pull down, and I'm going to basically engage. If you really work on the first bow, if you get your feet parallel, knees bent, and you get your sacrum tucked under, and you move the front of your pelvic floor or your pelvis up forward. As you press down, you can get, I've got almost the entire spine engaged. But if I relax down here, I can't do that. So to actually get the entire spine engaged, you need to engage your ligaments from your hips down. And that's in Wu Chi or Tai Chi for bow one. So feet parallel, knees bent. I'm going to push my sacrum down, which causes it to also tuck under a little bit, and it brings the front up. You know you're getting in the right direction when you feel pressure in your heels. Great. I've got the base. So now that I've got the base, I'm going to relax down a little bit. I'm going to sort of squish down a little bit. I'm going to put my hands together, back of the head, and then I'm going to press up. Okay, it went longer, just a few seconds longer. Oh. Okay, now Since I've just compressed my spine, I'm going to do a forward fold. I'm just doing this for a quick release. So I'm doing this as a reset. I'm not actually doing this as a stretch. So I'm going to have my feet about hip width apart, bend my knees. I'm going to put my forearms down here. I'm not going to do any more than this. And I'm just going to let my head dangle. My goal here is not my hamstrings, though I can get my hamstrings with this stretch as well. My goal is to allow my spine to just extend and relax for a second. Now, if you want to, you can go into a full forward fold. And I'm doing that to get a better stretch along my entire spine, but that's not necessary. All right. Now I'm going to close with a shake. Close this section with a shake. Am I done? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. So just a little bit of shaking to sort of get a reset across the entire body. Then I'm going to go into stretching. Let's see if this works. Here we go. This thing will also hopefully stimulate my vagus nerve in my neck. It does, actually. All right. That's good enough. All right, now for tonight's stretches, I'm going to do a series of 3 different stretches, asymmetrical. They're all on the floor. They're variations. I need 3 props. 1, 2, 3. This is just because I like to have a little bit of elevation for my neck. Not necessary. This is to stop my foot from going all. Actually, this used to be to stop my foot from going all the way to the ground. But what I actually do is it now is I actually have it hold my heel so I can just hold the stretch a little bit better. There's one other prop that helps with this one, and I'll use. Will that work? Yeah, I can make that work. That'll work. Oh, I'm sorry, Chesh. Sorry, buddy. Here you go. Come here. Okay, I'm gonna lay on the floor here, buddy. You're gonna get in the way. I know. That is, you're gonna get exactly in the way. So you almost know what the stretch is. Okay, so for this first one, I don't really need this. I'm only using this bench so that I hold my foot when I'm stretching, but that'll come up later. So here we go. I use a strap to start. Right here, I've already got this is a good place to start with the stretch. If you can't get your foot above 45 degrees, if gravity is working against you, I could use a bench to elevate my foot. Over time, eventually you can do something like this. And I will eventually reach up, but right now I'm going to start like this. And I haven't got my timer handy. So Alexa, 5-minute timer.
5 minutes, starting now.
Now I'm going to caution you about something. My form on this is not terribly clean. I've got my arms bent, so it looks like I am not really actually pulling with my arms, maybe just a little bit. But what I'm doing is I've got my arms hung in a way that they're pulling and adding weight, so I don't have to actually do anything. And I'm only holding with my hands but my arms aren't really doing much. So it might look like I'm using my arms. And if you go to the source on this pose, the suggestion is arm straight, leg straight. And the reason for that is if you have a bent arm, you're going to get exhausted for this pose. So we don't want to, but you know, I can do this and it works for me. So I'm going to do it this way, but this might be sloppy. A better way to do this would be something like if you have trouble holding on, and I've worked on this pose for years, so I've got a good grip strength, but you can do something like this with a strap. You can wrap the strap around your arm so that you let friction do most of the work and your hand is not having to do a lot of holding. However, because I've been doing these poses for so long, you naturally build up arm strength and hand strength, even though we're primarily doing flexibility. So a lot of the smaller muscles get a lot of interesting interaction when you're doing these poses and holding them for a long time because it has to. Your large muscles get tired and they need to get support. I probably have a slight bend in my knee. I don't want to, I mean, locking out is okay if it feels okay, but you might hyperextend. So keeping micro bend is a good idea here. And as you get deeper, frankly, you can, if you end up bending your knee, it's more like asymmetrical baby. But it doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters, does it feel? Does it get a good stretch? Is it worth your time and effort in this pose? If a pose just sort of is relaxing, honestly, I don't generally want it. I want it to be somewhat difficult to do so that I'm getting something out of it. And I don't mean difficult as in painful. Um, right here, I've got a really good stretch. And if I hold it long enough, I'm going to start to feel fibers release right about here where I'm feeling some tension. The sarcomeres are going to start to relax, and my leg will come further and further back. Now, as you can imagine, it's primarily a hamstring stretch. You can get some calf as well, depending on if you don't pull on your toes a little bit, you're probably not going to get much of a calf stretch. But if you pull back on your toes just a little bit, you'll deepen the stretch in the calf, like right there. As I pull on my toes, I'm getting it right in the middle of the muscle belly. And if you hold that long enough, you'll start to feel it go like it starts to pull apart. Alexa, stop. Okay. Other side. Same idea. Same thing. This is generally my looser side for hamstrings, so we'll see where this one goes tonight. Alexa, 5-minute timer.
5 minutes. Starting now.
Quick review of the basic principles. If you apply these principles to your work in this when you're doing deep flexibility, you're going to probably make progress. Okay, so breathe to relax. 4-8 is a good ratio. In for a count of 4, out for a count of 8. That will tend to calm you down and balance you out. It'll actually slow you down a bit. It'll engage your parasympathetic nervous system. Passive tension over time, 2 to 5 minutes. Why 2 to 5 minutes? 2 minutes is enough time to calm down the nervous system and to get the muscle fibers, the sarcomeres, to release to the point where you'll have some actual persistent change. And you will get some if you do less, but really 2 minutes is a minimum. 5 minutes, much beyond 5 minutes in the law of diminishing returns. You'll probably get more from doing a different pose. But certainly if you're doing hip stuff, more than 5 minutes is fine. Finally, just a second. Wet noodle. As much as possible, you either want to, well, you don't want to use your muscles. You want to try to relax your whole body if you can. So notice my arms are bent. Typically, if you have a bent muscle, it's going to have to work harder. But I'm not using my arms. I'm using the weight of my arms. My hands are doing all the work. And really, it's just my fingers, and I've got them hooked. Stop pushing on my chest, okay? Sorry, buddy, but you're just going to keep doing that. Now, there's two more to consider. One is it's how, and I've already said this one, is how it feels, not how it looks. So we might do what looks like a yoga pose, and it might look like a really sloppy yoga pose. But if it allows you to target the right part of the muscle, I don't care what it looks like. I care how it feels. I don't want you to do any damage. I don't want you to work on your joints. We're only working on muscles here, but it's how it feels. So I've got a really big stretch right here, really big. And if I have a little bit bent knee, it just moved to here. So I can move the stretch around a little bit if I need to. And I might actually do that so I can get more of the fibers involved. But small, gentle movements. It's how it feels, not how it looks. And then finally, you have to work from where you are. So if you've injured yourself, you got to take it easy. I still want to go through full range of motion, but really back off a little bit. That way, as you heal with full range of motion. The healing will end up possibly being better than before because you're using good form and full range of motion to form the new fibers, whereas the old fibers probably weren't given that same growth environment. And so you've had to repair them as opposed to get them good from the beginning. Get them good from the beginning. I like that. Now, something to think about when I'm straightening my leg, I'm not actually straightening. I mean, I am trying to do something like make my leg less bent. However, conceptually, what I'm doing is I'm pushing with my heel. And the side effect of that is my leg gets more straight. I'm trying to push my heel so that I get, if I try, I'm really just trying to engage the muscles or use the muscles to affect the joint rather than the muscles near the joint since I'm in a big stretch. Alexa, stop. Okay, now the next version of this pose, I come up like I did, but I'm going to lean my leg out. And what I'm going to do is by doing that, I'm going to target my groin quite a bit. And eventually, depending on how far out you go, it'll also get the abductors, the AB abductors on the outside. And I'm going to have to rotate a little bit because on this one, going against the principle of wet noodle a little bit, I pull. I'm going to be slightly, now I'm not tugging and I'm not bouncing. What I'm really doing is I'm slowly adding a little bit of pressure and then waiting. And then after that, I settle in and the muscle fibers say, okay, I pull a little bit more and I hold. So I'm going to be tightening. Maybe tightening is a better way to say what I'm doing instead of pulling. And I'm going to have my left foot with just a little bit of something to hold on to so that I can actually stretch my leg open. So start like so, open up. Now, it took me a while to where I could get my leg all the way down. I'm going to start about here. And then another thing I like to do is I like to put the strap under my head because then I can just sort of use my head a little bit to hold it. Alexa, 5-minute timer. And here we go. Now, it's also likely that you'll feel this a little bit in the hip flexors. I guess that's me. I will, and I think I do because for years I sat a lot, and if you are sitting a lot, your hip flexors are going to be shorter than if you don't sit a lot. If you have any kind of elevated heel in your shoe, your hip flexors are over years going to get shorter, and when your hip flexors get shorter, ultimately it's going to likely cause lower back pain. set a timer, right? Alexa, how much time is left in the timer?
You have less than 10 seconds.
Okay, 10, less than 10. Alexa, stop. Uh, that was 5 minutes. That's why. Oh, that was good. Eesh. Okay, now, same thing. Other leg, other side. Hey, buddy, got a little bit closer to you. No, that'll work right there. Alexa, 5 minute timer. Let's do this for now. Sorry, Kitty, I don't mean to be bumping into you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can rub your, I can, let's see. Here, I can rub your head for a second. Alexa, stop. Okay. Okay, and the final pose starts up and then kicks over. So now for this last pose, I'm going to be targeting the back. So about in this case, when I go in this direction, it's going to get my left side. When my right leg's over, it's going to be my right side. So actually, I moved this pillow in prematurely. So I'm going to start with my right side, bring my leg up, and all these variations, the other leg is just straight down. I'm leaning over. My shoulder can come off or not. I'm going to go ahead and do the strap thing again because I will be pulling a little bit. And then that's it. Pardon my skin. Now I'll just sit. Don't care. There we go. Never mind. Alexa, 5 minute timer. Hey, Josh, not now. Dude, sorry. No, not now. So right now I'm getting a stretch from here in my mid back and then also all the way down to the outside of my hamstrings here. That's a nice big stretch. And then if I happen to reach my right hand opposite, like I'm doing right now, getting a bit of a shoulder stretch as well as a little bit of a spinal twist. But if that's too much, put your hand on your chest. It's fine. Pointing your elbows may be okay, but honestly, this does extend the stretch out a little bit, having your elbow like this. But if it's too much, don't do it. It's fine. But this is a little bit more. And as you once you've stretched your shoulders a bit, this will be available to you. Um, if you've got tight shoulders, you wouldn't be able to do this right away. And I still have tight shoulders, but I still have loose enough shoulders to do this. There we go. So I've got my heel of my right foot cupped in my left hand, and then the pillow. And what that does is the pillow doesn't really move. It helps keep the leg in place. I'm not doing anything to hold this really. This is wet noodle right here. So I've got passive tension in my leg. The rest of my body is loose, wet noodle. And for a while, if you were watching my belly, it was going, I was inhaling, expanding my belly for a count of 4, and then exhaling more like a count of 12, just because that's how long it was taking me to exhale. Pardon me. So I'm starting to get a little bit of sparkly feelings in my foot. It's okay. First of all, it's really minor. Second, and I'm familiar with it. You're going to get these feelings every so often. If they get really bad, back off a little bit. Right now, I'm just noticing them a little bit. I've done this enough to get a sense that this is fine. But a test is after you come out of a pose, 30 seconds, if they haven't cleared, you maybe did too much. don't do it as much next time. Yeah, it's certainly possible you could hurt yourself and do damage. So you got to monitor your body, look for hot spots, look for points of pain as opposed to pressure and areas of pressure, and come out slowly when you are in a point pain or when you can sense that you're just doing too much. But over time, you'll find that too much is a lot more than you thought it could be as you build up resilience. Because even though we're trying not to stretch the ligaments, we're engaging the ligaments, we're doing work in the ligaments. So everything we're doing, we're stretching the muscles, we're making the ligaments stronger. When you do poses like blaster, where you've got your entire kneecap or your shin on the floor, you're making it so that those parts of your body have more resilience. They can respond better to pressure. So you're strengthening your whole body in different ways over time, over months and years. You're engaging these little muscles, and those are the things that are gonna you're not you're not gonna get a big you're not gonna get a huge muscles, but you're gonna have a very effective muscle. Alexa, stop. That wasn't very grammatically correct, but I ramble. Okay, one last pose. Now, on this one, since you're stretching the back, I would recommend you come out really slow, put your foot down. There's another pose, twister, where we actually twist our legs and lean over to the side. I was just about to say that that one does a deeper job, and here I am thinking, ooh, I really need to be careful coming out of this. Oh God, I've been sitting on my glasses. How much did I mess them up? And fine, fine enough. Okay, now last side. Okay. Now, while I'm doing this and after for a little bit, my body is sore. However, in the morning, my body's not sore. So, my theory is before I started doing these stretches, Alexa, 5-minute timer. My theory is before I started doing these stretches, I had pain all the time. And now that I do this, I generally don't have pain ever, except while I'm doing it. And I say pain, it's discomfort, it's not pain. If it's actually pain, I back off. But discomfort, so I do a little bit of discomfort every day to avoid daily pain all the time. And I guarantee you, when I weighed 250 pounds and I was getting headaches and migraines daily, I felt like crap all the time. But it was normal, so I didn't know any better. It's the broken windows idea, right? Once your body goes to hell, what's the point, right? But, the point is step one, redefine better. Better does not mean good, better means less bad, right? So, for example, I eat a lot of crappy food. But I also eat something good every day. I eat something like I basically blend a salad every day. And I noticed a huge improvement in my energy levels at night, and my sugar cravings are down and so on. So even though I haven't fixed my entire diet, by doing one thing good a day, my diet is better than it was before. My diet's not bad, but it can be pretty awful at times. I'm really good at baking stuff. Ah, so reduce. First of all, redefine better to be incrementally better, but not necessarily good. Why is that important? Because once you do that, you start to break perfectionism, and perfectionism is the one of the biggest inhibitors. If you can't do it just right, don't do it at all. Well, how the hell are you going to do it right if you never do it? Give yourself a break and do something that's a little bit better than what you're doing before. And by the way, are you going to backpedal? All the time. I backpedal. In fact, I'm in the middle of recovering from multiple months of stress induced backpedaling because jobs and all that kind of stuff, jobs, financials, and so on. And I knew it at the time, and I did the best I could. Didn't completely fall back, but I fell back a little bit, and then I got back on the wagon. probably the wrong metaphor. Guess it is kind of. My addiction is crappy food. I love carbs. So you better once you can make small changes, then you start to work on habituating habit changes. So I recently made a small change in my salad smoothie as an example. I was buying tahini at the local Indian spices food store, and it occurred to me, my sister told me, well, why don't you just make your own? And so I bought some sesame seeds, and then it occurred to me, since I'm really blending this in a salad, I'm going to sprout them in water for 2 days since I'm sprouting other things. And then I'm going to just put whole sesame seeds in rather than you taking the time to make tahini, because tahini was just a great source of fat and some fiber. But that's what sesame seeds are. And I'm going raw and organic. Mostly that's just because of pesticides and such, but raw because I want it as unrefined as possible. And then by soaking it, you tend to help reduce some of the so-called anti-nutrients. So actually, when I say I do one good meal a day, it's an outstandingly awesome, high unprocessed fat, high near. Actually, right now that's all raw. It's raw and vegan. I don't. I'm not a raw food. I'm not a vegan person. I'm not a vegetarian, but it's a hell of a good nutrient dense, micro, macro balanced, blah, blah, blah thing. Because I have also fresh sprouts that I grow. So I'm growing sprouts at home for my salad. I've become a bit of a hippie, it appears. Okay, Alexa, stop. Oof. All right. And talking distracts me from the stretching. Still come out slow even though I'm done. All right. Feel pretty good. Have a good night.